I think being authentic and storytelling is what's going to separate you from your competitors or from any other brand out there, because only you are you. Only you can be authentically you. Only you have your stories. We're the four moms in the basement, and the hammer who started this label empire. You're the one who has that, and nobody can take that from you.
Hello, dear listeners. It's that time again when we stroll through the paths of ambition, desire, and success. Welcome to the Dare to Declare podcast, where we explore the enchanting world of giant manifestors who've turned their visions and goals into the stuff of legends. I couldn't help but wonder, how do some people create the lives they've always dreamed of? Is it the magic of manifesting, the power of perseverance, or perhaps just a dash of serendipity? Well, dear friends, grab your coffee cups because we're about to spill the tea on fascinating journeys of those who dare to dream big and make it happen. Join me as we sip on success stories and ponder the ever-enticing question, can we all manifest our dreams into reality, or is it just an urban fairy tale? I'm your host, Debbi, and I'm here to guide you through the labyrinth of achievement with heart and soul. Ready to dare to declare? Let's get started.
You are in for such a treat today. My interview with Julie Cole blew my mind. I thought we were going to talk about business, which we did. I thought we were going to talk about labels, which we did. And yet it went so much deeper. How important it is to be organized, not just for yourself as a mom, as maybe a dog mom, but how important it is for your child to be able to feel independent, that they know that that mitten is theirs because it's got a label in it. So you're definitely going to want to catch this episode. You're going to want to meet Julie Cole. She is a dynamic entrepreneur, a recovering lawyer, and a mom of 6. And we talk about that today too. She's traded in her legal career and co-founded Mabel Labels with 4 other women. She's an award-winning company that transformed from a basement startup into a multi-million-dollar industry leader. As a senior director of Mabel Labels, Julie has helped revolutionize the durable label market while becoming a recognized voice in entrepreneurship, parenting, and women's leadership. She's an award-winning businesswoman, best-selling author, and in-demand speaker and media contributor. She has appeared in major media outlets, including NBC's The Today Show, HLN's Raising America, The Marilyn Denis Show, CNN, CP24, Breakfast Television. She's written work that's been featured in the Huffington Post, the Globe and Mail, Profit Magazine, Today's Parent, and more. Julie's achievements have earned her notable recognition, including the RBC Women of Influence Award for Excellence in Entrepreneurship, the YMCA Women of Distinction Award in Innovation and Entrepreneurship, the Iris Award in Entrepreneurship, just to name a few. Beyond business, Julie is deeply committed to community engagement, mentoring emerging entrepreneurs, and advocating for women's rights. Whether she's keynoting a conference or navigating the chaos of family life, Julie brings authenticity, humor, heart to everything she does. Follow Julie for inspiration, real talk, and expert insights into entrepreneurship, parenting, and the power of building something meaningful from the ground up. And I am so excited for you to hear this wonderful episode today. Well, my guest today, I have known about her company for many, many years. And so for those of you who've been listening to the podcast, you know that my background is in early years in childcare. So I used to run a multi-site, not-for-profit childcare. And the sought-after product was something that my guest today is the owner of. And so I'm really excited for you to meet Julie Cole. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you so much for having me, Debbie. Yes, I'm very excited to share the Mabel's Labels journey with you all.
Yeah, so tell us, let's dive right in. So one of the things I know about you is that you used to be a lawyer. Is that correct?
Right. So, I think it is one of those things that often, particularly mothers, are in the corporate world, they're building their professions, and then something happens in their personal life. For me, it was that my eldest child got diagnosed with autism. And at that point, I really felt like the corporate world life probably wouldn't suit my needs any longer. I wanted some flexibility. I wanted to be able to advocate for him, set up programming for him. And to be honest, at that point, he was only 3 and he already had 2 younger siblings because I do have 6 kids, as you know. Um,
Yeah.
so, we had this idea for Mabel's Labels, me, my sister, and then 2 of our friends that we from the University of Waterloo. And, we had this idea. There was a product missing from the market. And then with my son's diagnosis, we're like, why don't we give it a go? Let's, we've had this great idea. And that was it. That was 22 years ago. And we haven't looked back. And as you said, we are a well-loved brand of parents, of early education teachers, of teachers in general, camp leaders, you name it, dance coaches, everything, because people are very tired of losing their stuff. And what we did create was, for those who don't know, a very durable, beautifully personalized name label. So this will go through the washer and the dryer. And so for when we first launched, it was for the bottles and the sippy cups. But of course, now we have 22 years on, a wide range of products, clothing labels like clothing stamp, peel and stick onto fabric, peel and stick onto tags. So we've just got such an array. Obviously, you want to check out the website, mabelslabels.com, to get a full understanding. But that's how it started. And that's how I ended up leaving the traditional workforce.
And did I see that you're also doing with pets as well?
We actually, you know what? Pet owners love us because, pets go off to doggy daycare or they have friends taking care of, and just to avoid any mix ups. And who doesn't like seeing their little furry friend's name in print? So we do some fun stuff there, and also a lot with seniors, right? Because some of our OG customers, like you who now have, and me who have adult children, we also are doing a lot of caregiving of seniors and finding that as they enter residential care, that they need their things labeled as well. So we're really, honestly, from throughout the lifespan of somebody, you need your Mabel's labels. I've got my kids at university and shared houses and residence, that sort of thing. And they have come in handy, obviously, labeling all of their clothing, also their tech. So every charger that, those tend to walk away. So every bit of tech, laptop, phones, chargers, that sort of thing. There's something for everyone to label.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking about the practicality of it and the simplicity. And I say that out of all kindness because people look at my vision board thing, they're like, it's so simple. But there's a whole mindset behind this in terms of, especially when you just mentioned the seniors, because I'm thinking about my girlfriend who she lived in the States. Her mom was in care here in Canada, and it was very stressful for her to come in and visit her mom and see that most of, her mom's stuff had either been destroyed in the laundry or that had been lost. And when a senior, when they have already given up all of their house, their possessions, they only have a
You
few things
have nailed it, Debbie. You have nailed it. So you have a lot of these seniors who have given up, like they've sold their family home. They're now in a very small, so they only have brought a few items with them. So they are protective about it. And also as you get old, sometimes, you have your little quirks, so, and you don't, so your possessions become even more important. You don't want to lose that perfume. You don't want to lose and we see that seniors feel a lot more comfortable when their clothing's labeled, and we'll do like Mrs. Smith, room 244, so that when it does go to the laundry, it makes it back because it is important to them. And to your point about your friend, she wants to know that her mom is comfortable and not experiencing stress. And stress comes with lost items or items you feel have, walked out of the room. So it has been a real peace of mind thing for the senior market for sure. You're absolutely 100% right there, Debbie. I'm surprised that you mentioned that because that's something not a lot of people really notice.
Yeah. Well, and then I think on the other end with children, and my grandson is extremely sensitive. He's very particular.
Yes.
And and I remember as a mom, spending, weeks in August labeling each pencil crayon and each marker. This is before I found your labels.
Yeah.
Because it was very stressful. So just like with the seniors, it's also for the kids. It's like you've got a box of markers, they all have to fit back in, and there's one missing. You're like, where is it? Right?
Well,
And
100%. And I like the point because I mean, people were using, well, like we were using before we created this, was Sharpies and like masking tape and permanent marker, and it didn't really work. And to your point, you don't want to be losing these things because we know how much parents are spending, particularly in back to school season. I'm doing a segment on this next week about, parents go into debt buying back to school items. So, a 20 or $30 pack of labels or combination of labels is really a cheap insurance policy. And you're right, they are protective of their things. You spend a lot of money, you want that stuff getting returned. It goes in the lost and found. If it does end up in the lost and found, they'll be like, oh, we know whose this is. It's got a Mabel's labels on it. Let's get it back there. So I think it is important. And we found particularly, this caught us off guard, but during COVID, we realized how important it was for parents that their kids weren't germ sharing. So they wanted the sippy cups labeled. They want the water cups labeled, water bottles labeled because of all that sharing. And as these kids get older, you'll get all these tween girls and their parents are spending a fortune on those Stanley water bottles. We don't want those ending up in the lost and found, right? So yeah, cheap insurance policy really. And they really do, like, this is the secret sauce. Like, they really do go through the dishwasher microwave. I've got labels here that have been on stuff for 15 years, like longer, and also the washer and dryer. And I like that you mentioned your grandson's sensitivities because we've been very mindful of that in our product development. As I mentioned, my eldest child is autism. I also have another neurospicy one. And you do find sometimes there's some sensory things with these neurospicy kids. So, originally we had like the iron on clothing labels. Then we did the tag mates that go on the tag. But a lot of parents whose kids can't tolerate a tag would have to cut them out. And then brands started making tagless clothes. So that's why we launched our stamp. But then most recently, I love this product. It is our peel and stick. It goes right on the fabric. So you can do, if you're sending them to camp, I've got some at camp right now. You've got, every sock labeled, every underwear. So it goes off to the camp laundry and it makes its way back.
that's so great. I didn't even know about that. That's amazing. And then as I said, I was a childcare director for 30 plus years. And so we had families that, were all different demographics in terms of wealth. And so, but every parent, when you are asked to bring in 2 pairs of shoes, right? So the indoor shoes, but maybe the indoor shoes, the outdoor shoes, and then the gym shoes. In some cases, even 3 pairs of shoes, it can be very
A
costly.
lot.
And then the other piece is, I don't know if you saw this as also a solution for your product, is that what I noticed as well during COVID and for security, they were shutting down the schools that parents couldn't go in, right? So they're not actually going into the school. So now no longer are they able to locate their child's mitten and so forth. Whereas before they could go in the cubbies and sort of look for it. But now you have to rely on your 7-year-old who could give a rip about, a lost mitten. And
No, it's a really good point. And this is the thing we've also noticed when kids do have Mabel's labels and they're engaged in the process of bringing them onto the website. Okay, let's put your name there. Also, to your point, the kids have all sorts of different names. And, not every kid is named Emily or Jack, to pull off. So they can go in and they can personalize their name, whatever their name is. They may never see it in print, but they will with Mabel's labels. They can pick a little icon that reflects what they love, whether it's butterflies or basketballs or dump trucks or whatever they're into. And then it's personalized. And what we found, a direct relation between being involved and then helping their parents label their things and then their own stewardship over their belongings. They're very aware then of what's theirs. It's got their, even our pre-readers, they can look for their basketball or for their princess or their whatever icon if they can't read their name yet. And we see them take a bit of ownership, responsibility, and stewardship over their belongings. So parents don't need to go in the school as often to round things up because kids are doing it themselves.
oh, love that. And it makes me think when I used to work again in the childcare and there was like the symbols, which is the pre-reading, like the high scope philosophy. So, and then that kid who's like, even my age and, it's like, I can never find my name on a pen, in one of those stores in Disney, like, it's
Right,
like,
because you're a Debbie with no E. Yeah, there's no, who's a Debbie with no E, right? So you were the kid
no.
who needed Mabel's labels.
Right. And, you try to just scratch it off or, to modify it. But if you have something professional looking, so thinking about how this ties into self-esteem, and how when you said about stewardship, about being independent, that the child takes responsibility for it, but that their name is there. This is something that we used to teach as well, is our educators would have the cubbies ready for the children labeled. So the child, because we see them then as capable, competent, curious, and rich with potential, which is something you're Canadian, as am I, and that's one of the Ontario early years documents. So here we're talking about labels, but how it all fits into this way of being that we get to be with children.
I love that because I really do believe in, also as a mom of six, I am a big fan of nurturing independence. I'm part of the philosophy of, never do for a child what they can do for themselves. And, as a mom of six, I've had to, I go about and I teach them quite young to do things like put on their shoes, get ready for school. I'll give visual cues and those sorts of things because, as you know, kids respond very well to visuals. But what that does is instills confidence. Like by the end of the morning, I'm not saying, have you put your lunch in your bag? Have you got your gym clothes? Have you? I've got a visual there. They've done it. And then they leave for school already having accomplished something and having done it independently, and me not barking orders about what to do. I'm instead saying, hey, go to your ready, set, go board. What's next? I don't say, you need to do this. So I'm not the nag and dragon in the morning. And I think, this does all tie in. The Mabel's Labels helps, foster that independence, that stewardship, that sense of belonging and taking responsibility for my own items. And whenever we empower our kids and give them opportunities to flex that independence and to learn, we are building confidence in them. And these are the kids who are going to, I always say, today's problem solvers are tomorrow's leaders. So, I think if they can now, like I think about my kids, I've had lots of opportunity to problem solve because I'm a big fan of them. Let them get their practice now. And I was recently telling this story. I have this daughter who was traveling through Europe and she's 22. And, I found out after the fact, like a few days later, whenever I talked to her, when she called, that her passport had got stolen on a train. And so she just found herself, she went to the Canadian embassy, got herself I didn't get a panicked phone call. Mom, what do I do? I didn't get her crying. What do I do? My passport got stolen. I'm in Germany or wherever she was. She problem solved it. And that's because, when she was 6, she was responsible for gathering her own belongings, knowing what was hers, getting it packed up, and giving these kids this practice is what's going to make them effective adults. Because, you and I both know now that we've adult children, we don't want to be solving all their big people problems.
No, absolutely no.
We did our jobs.
I love being the grandma where I can just spoil them and enjoy them. And
yes, they say grandchildren are your reward for not killing your own.
So good. So let's switch gears a little bit. And people are probably like, what? Let's go back. 6 kids. What? And so what's the age span in your children? I'm curious. And also talk a bit about growing a company, from working with 4 women. So do you still work with them? Are they still part of the company? And then, that you have sustained it now for over 20 years, which is a huge accomplishment in itself, Canadian owned company. So can you talk a bit about being a mom, and also growing this company, scaling it to where it is.
Right. Okay. So yes, we started, as I said, 22 years ago, we started in my sister's basement in Hamilton, Ontario. Then we ended up in a bigger basement. And then we ended up where we are now, which is 20,000 square foot facility that has our production facility and all of our team. We have about 50 full-time staff. We also have a production facility in California. So it has grown a lot. And the kid thing, look, entrepreneurship worked really well for me because it did give me the flexibility. But for all the aspiring entrepreneurs out there, I do like to warn you that flexibility doesn't get your work done for you. So yes, you can do that play date or volunteer at the kindergarten trip to the apple orchard, but you will be slumped over your laptop at 11 o'clock at night or at midnight, or making labels till 2 a.m. And, that is part of it, Debbie. People have a tendency to romanticize entrepreneurship and they think it's going to be all TED Talks and book deals and those sorts of things. But really, it looks like putting the kids to bed and not grabbing a glass of wine and throwing on a Netflix. It looks like going to a basement and making labels till 2 a.m. when you're pregnant with your fourth child and getting up at 6 a.m. to do the whole kid thing again and label thing and manage all of it. So, I didn't sleep a lot. I didn't have, traditional me time and those things. So I do feel like people need to know what they're getting into because, like I said, this entrepreneur stuff is really hot at the moment, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of grit. It's a lot of doing without. You might not be able to do that family holiday. You might be without a salary, right? Like I wasn't getting a salary for, a few years there. So these are all the things you need to consider. But I will say, in raising these kids, and they are now old, like I have 5 at university and 1 in high school. I did pack them in pretty tight, 6 C-sections too, which was a bit much, but having them as a part of this has been a lot of fun too, because, I did an Insta Live yesterday with No Guilt Mom, and it was interesting how much guilt moms do carry. And I did say that I think we need to really turn it on its ear. And it's like, sure, there were sacrifices my kids made having a mom who was entrepreneurial, but also they got to be involved in something really special. They saw their mom passionate about her work. They saw their mom build something from the ground up. They saw the mom who was able to go to the apple orchard. I did volunteer at this school. I was able to do those things. So there's a lot of benefits as well. You just got to make sure it suits you. And yes, co-founders can be tricky, right? If you have a co-founder, you've got a lot of, like for us, there are 4 of us, and you've got a lot of feisty conversations. You've got a lot of opinions, but you also have a lot of brains and you've got a lot of different skill sets and you've got a lot of ideas and you have a lot of support. I just think you have to go in with eyes wide open, and that also your family knows what it's going to look like. Are they prepared to know that, mom might be in the basement, might have to answer some calls? I just think managing expectations is really important. The other thing, as you mentioned, is that there are 4 co-founders. And that's great, but it's also challenging. We had lots of feisty conversations. We have lots of opinions. But then what's great about it is we have lots of feisty conversations and we have lots of opinions and we have a lot of skill sets. And we can divide and conquer. I saw it, especially 22 years ago, Debbi, as you know, like we didn't have podcasts to listen to. We didn't have Facebook groups to join. We couldn't hop on LinkedIn and find out how somebody else managed to get through. It was tough and it was a lonely slog, entrepreneurship. And I saw this with a lot of my solo entrepreneur friends. So with the 4 of us, it was really great to have that kind of companionship, being matched with people who were equally as passionate about the business as you were. It's like when you parent, you can tell your co-parent anything about your kid and they're as excited too because they love the kid as much. And that's what it was like with Mabel's Labels. We were all in love with her. Like, so having that kind of support. And then of course we were all, there were 13 Mabel babies between us. So somebody had to tap out because they're having a baby. Somebody had to pick up a sick kid from daycare, whatever. But we were able to support each other through that as well.
That's amazing. So you're the Mabel band that stayed together?
Yeah. Well, right now we have not, because it's been 22 years and we went through an acquisition quite excitingly a few years ago. And we are acquired by industry giant Avery, who is owned by CCL, which is a Canadian company. And at that time, 2 of the gals were like, okay, I'm checking out. I'm going to do some coaching. Or I'm going to do some other things. Somebody still had a little kid they wanted to hang out with. So they left. And then me and one of the partners stuck around, and she stuck around as the general manager for a couple of years. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to go do my own thing. And I've stayed on, and I love it. Like I still am so passionate about Mabel's Labels. I'm still passionate about learning what I've shared, connecting with our customers and our moms and getting out there. So it's been such a fun ride. And everyone says, like, what's next? What are you going to do? And it's like, honestly, I'm still having fun right now. So as long as I'm having fun and I'm bringing value to the company and we're growing and all that good stuff is happening, I plan on sticking around. Now, do I do other things as well? For sure. Like during COVID, I wrote my book. That was the perfect time because I wasn't hopping on planes and going to conferences and speaking at events or doing anything like that. So I was really grounded. And I thought, okay, the book has been on the to-do list for a while now. If I don't do it while I'm grounded and stuck home, when am I going to do it? So that was when Like a Mother, Birthing Businesses, Babies, and a Life Beyond Labels came to life. But you do notice, like, I wasn't alone there during COVID. So many women started side hustles or really like leaned into their entrepreneurial side, and it was a beautiful thing.
For sure. So what's the title of your book again?
It's called Like a Mother, Birthing Businesses, Babies, and a Life Beyond Labels. I'm just wondering if one's around here.
Amazing. We'll put it in the show notes.
Put it in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, so is it available on Amazon, or how can we
order it? Everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And so, well, who's Mabel?
Ha! The $1 million question. So Mabel was, we came up with Mabel because in those early days of brainstorming, we wanted something people would remember. We wanted something that said what we did, labels, hello. And we also wanted to be able to personify our brand. So we had this like logo of this little girl who was feisty and fun. And she was like a human to us. She was like a daughter. And in fact, we still talk about her. Like when she turned 16, we're like, oh, sweet 16 for Mabel. 21, she can drink in the States. Like, so we've had so much fun, but really she just came from, our little hearts and our brains. And then she just turned into this well-loved brand from.
So you were like cool with like an avatar before avatars were even a thing.
Exactly.
Right? Well, we already had your little avatar.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about your brand. So you developed your brand. You had your little Mabel, which really was your brand, your avatar. And then I remember, and again, I'm sure this is foggy, but I think, did you send out sample labels? Like, were there samples that came out as sort of like a tester kind of thing for PR?
We did it all, baby.
Yeah, I think that we got some of the childcare, and we probably were like your best advocates, right? Because of course we don't want parents to fill up the lost and found bin, and we want parents to be organized, to help us be organized, to help them better. So we would have promoted you.
100%. And that was like in those early days, all of our marketing that you got to remember, this was before social media. Like people couldn't say, oh, look what I got. Oh, on their Instagram posts, look at these adorable labels. But it was word of mouth. So moms were talking about us at the daycare drop off. Oh, what's that on your child's bottle? Or like at a play group or a drop-in center. So word was traveling that way. And so sampling is an excellent way to promote a product. And like you said, for like the daycare professionals, are you kidding me? If they love them, they're going to be telling their parents to get them, and then it's going to spread, and that's what you want. So we were trying to get these in the hands of as many, people like you in the early days as we could. And also, like in those days, for us to advertise, I mean, gosh, an ad in today's Parent would have cost us thousands and thousands of dollars, but everybody read today's Parent back then. Now, not so much, right? That's why marketing has evolved and changed so much over the years. But we did have a really, and I was one of the original like mom bloggers, right? So I was blogging on our Mabel website about what it's like to be a mom of 6, how to get through the day, my tips and tricks as a mom of 6, not about labels, but as a way to stay connected to our community. So when social media hit, we just jumped right on there, and we were, sending labels to, the early influencers, the first influencers, which were the mommy bloggers, because we knew that their audiences trusted them. So if they talked about our product, then their audience would buy them because it's trusted. And that's how the mom market works. Moms buy from trusted brands that they feel connected to. And we knew that. So we, right away, we had a huge Facebook following. We are always providing great content. And we still are there. I just did a TikTok live the other day to show some of our new products. We do Insta lives. We're really very much in that space because you go where your audience is. So, the original moms, we were all on Facebook. Now, where's that younger generation moms? They're all on Instagram. So we shifted more to Instagram. We shift more to TikTok. Everyone knows, go where your market is.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any other tips around PR and as you've scaled your company, and did you ever rebrand? Did you ever, Dina?
No, I mean, we've had freshen ups for sure.
Yeah.
Like our little girl, we changed her hairstyle. We actually use her less. We now just use the Labels logo more. We have been fiercely protective of our brand. I find that if you do things right the first time, then you don't have to keep redoing. So make sure you know what that color palette is, know what your core values are. And if you really lean into that, it's going to save you a lot of money and a lot of hassle later, because your core values will make your decisions for you about who you want to co-brand with, or who you want to do a collaboration with, or who you want to hire, who's the right fit for who you want on the bus and off the bus. So being driven by your core values is extremely, extremely helpful. I would say for anyone out there who is an entrepreneur, I do think it's very important to be visible. So I don't think you can go hide behind your computer. I don't think you can go hide behind your desk. I know it's not for everybody. So toe dip and do what works for you. Maybe ask to go on somebody's podcast. Ask if you can write a blog post. Ask if you can do an Insta live with somebody. Say, I'm going to turn up to 2 networking events. Say, I'm going to join a community like Entreprenistas or something like that, where you're going to talk to people, engage with people on the message board even. But visibility leads to credibility, which leads to loyalty and is good for business. So I don't think it's an option. I think you need to get out there, and people want, especially if your brand, if it focuses on moms and they're your customer, like I said earlier, they don't want to buy from nameless, faceless brands. They want to buy from Julie. They want to buy from Debbi. So make sure that they get to know you. Let them in, especially now in these times of AI where people are skeptical. Who am I really talking to? So
Yeah, that's coming up so much. I think
sure.
every day I'm hearing that, like,
Yep.
because it's so much fake news, fake this, fake that. It's like, is this person really a person?
For sure. And, I think being authentic and storytelling is what's going to separate you from your competitors or from any other brand out there, because only you are you. Only you can be authentically you. Only you have your stories. We're the 4 moms in the basement, in the Hammer, who started this label empire. You're the one who has that, and nobody can take that from you. So, I also, speaking of on a more practical level, the other thing people can't take from you is your email list. So make sure you're always growing your email list, because if Instagram gets cut off, if LinkedIn, all of those, you don't own those. You don't own those platforms. What you own is your email list. So have it and protect it, and, and make sure you're seeing who's opening what's working, what time of day, what kind of content they want to see. I get people all the time saying, Julie, we want you to speak at this event, but please share it on your email list. I'm like, I'm out. I cannot sacrifice my email list and risk unsubscribes, because I know our email list, sure, we'll give them content once in a while, but mostly they want to know, what are we getting off for our back to school sale? What are we getting off for the Amazon Prime Day? What are we like? They want to know that stuff. So I'm not going to risk talking about some online summit I'm speaking at and have them unsubscribe. My marketing team would kill me.
Oh, that's really great advice, because there's so much pressure that you feel like you have to. If you're a rule follower, you think, oh, I got to pay to play. I got to do this, or my email list has to be this big, like all those things. So protect your email list. That's really, really great advice for sure. So yeah, thank you so much. This has just been incredible to have you here. And so you said you're not sure what's next, but like you said, you speak at summits. One of the things I noticed was you talked about values, core values. And one of the things I noticed in your bio was around advocacy for women. Can you just talk a bit about what is on your heart in terms of advocacy for women?
Yeah, look, I was just born that little feminist. I came from, you know, yeah, I talk about my grandmother. She was one of 21 kids, an Irish Catholic woman, and yet she was born before her time. When we grew Mabel's label, she was like, when we won a Women Entrepreneur of Canada award, she was in that limo going to Toronto for the big awards. Like, my girls can do anything. And so just always had that. And I really do. I just see the injustices. And I see that, women are only getting less than 2% of VC funding. Women are, women are making 86 cents on the dollar, not even actually on the dollar. We're seeing that opportunities, they're more, CEOs named John in Canada than there are women CEOs. So we see that we need to be promoting each other, advocating for each other, even domestically. Even, what goes on in a home is reflected in our wider society. So are our homes being run democratically? Is everything falling on mom? So then she professionally can't move forward, whereas dad is, because it's not falling on him. So I think there's a lot of conversations in home and in work, even as far as like policy goes. I follow Allison over at Moms at Work, who does incredible policy work around, daycare costs, around maternity leave, around all those things to try and equalize the workforce, or make it, rather than us bend to them, how about the workforce bend to us a little bit, right? So that's just close to my heart, and raising all my children, that's just been, that's just one of our core values.
Well, how blessed we are to have a powerful Canadian leader like you, because we need to. I was just speaking with someone else. She's a counselor in Kitchener, and she gave a keynote this weekend here in Chatham, and she talked about whisper to roar. And I just love that, where sometimes the idea comes in as a whisper, but we get to roar, because when we're roaring, we're also then creating space for others to lift their voices as well. So I really feel like you've done that with your company, with the way that you've run your company, and, digging in a bit deeper here today. I love this idea that it's so much more than simply labeling your children's items, but that, as we heard, it supports their self-esteem. It supports mom's mental health, and also the pocketbook, and the educators. And it's just a beautiful way to develop that child into taking responsibility to be able to be self-sufficient, so that those are all skills that are going to benefit them down the line as well. So
I love that, Debbie. Yeah, I really like that you acknowledge that. That's definitely something special that doesn't get talked about enough.
yeah, it's so good. Is there anything else before we close today that you'd like to leave with the listener, whether it be business, mom related, any of the topics we've been touching on today?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that it's just important for women leaders to understand that we don't have to go in and look like men who lead. We can do it our way. The more we're learning about leadership, we're learning that, introverted leaders are so powerful and impactful. We're learning that empathetic leadership is so great for retention and connection. So, we can turn the traditional idea of leadership on its ear and rethink it, and bring our own styles to it. We don't have to turn into them. We can stay us, and let's not be afraid to do that. And then the only other thing I'd say, hey, keep in touch, folks. So you can find, obviously, at mabelslabels.com, and then all of my stuff at Mabel's, like where you can find me and order the book, all that is mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole. And then, of course, I'm on, LinkedIn and Instagram and all the places. So I'm easy enough to find, and I'd love to connect.
Excellent. So you're on social media. Obviously, you just said that, Instagram as well. And then also they can find your book on Amazon. Are there any other, so you've got your book. Is there anything else that, like your blog? Do you still write your blog?
All that stuff you can find at mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole. You'll see some of the things I'm on media, and if you want to follow along, just, follow me on socials. I post everywhere I'm speaking, every TV thing I'm doing, every conference I'm going to. So yeah, I'd love for everyone to follow along.
Julie, this has been so fun. Like, again, thinking back to me 20 years ago as a childcare director, and, promoting these labels, and then now here full circle talking to you on my podcast. I mean, it's just so cool. Life is just so beautiful. Yeah, I love it. So thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. And I wish you so much success and blessing and health as you move forward with your mission. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Debbie.
And to the listener, just remember to dare to declare.
Today, we've delved into the realm of manifesting giants, exploring the power of declaring our desires to the universe with unapologetic boldness. But before we bid adieu, I have a little something special to share with all of you dreamers out there. Introducing the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and online DIY Vision Board course, your ticket to manifesting greatness in style. Picture this: flipping through pages filled with inspiring images, empowering quotes, and step-by-step guides to help you create the vision board of your dreams. Whether you're yearning for that spacious condo with a view, or a love that sets your soul on fire, our magazine is here to guide you every step of the way. Dive deep into the art of manifesting with our exclusive online DIY vision board course. Led by manifesting expert, yes, yours truly, and seasoned dreamers. This course will teach you the ins and outs of creating a vision board that speaks to your heart and soul. So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of the manifesting giants and dare to declare your wildest dreams to the universe. Head over to our website, debbisluice.com, and grab your copy of the Dare to Declare Vision Board magazine and enroll in our online DIY Vision Board course today. Until next time, keep dreaming big and daring to declare, because in the world of manifesting, the sky's the limit.